Hi, my name is Brittany Hamlet Concepcion, and I am the Virtual Content Specialist for Multilingual Learners and English Language Learners in Science for grades K through 5. Welcome to the Week 25 Argumentative Writing Task Guidance video. This video is meant to help you to accelerate the learning of your multilingual learners and your English language learners for this week's lesson, as written in the lessons provided in Teach Hub according to the Core Knowledge Science curriculum. The contents of this video will focus on the weekly target vocabulary for this week's reading and writing task, as well as the writing process for Week 25's task, strategies for language instruction, and some additional resources. As always, in the beginning slides of each lesson, there's general supports for teachers who are teaching multilingual learners and English language learners. You will also see all of the materials and resources you may need for each lesson at the beginning slides of the video. It's important to note that the teacher who created these slides does use the 3-2-1 routine for processing a text for reading. Today's focus is going to be about writing about what the students have already read about. Here's the weekly vocabulary that we want to introduce to the students at the beginning of the week prior to them reading or writing. This will be important to help them to understand the text, but also to help them use this content-specific vocabulary in their writing. As you've seen in my previous videos, there are many ways you can create a virtual word wall that might be helpful for students to use in the class as a whole, or they can have personal student word walls that they can add to at any point. The words you want to focus on for this week are air pollution, clean energy, pollutants, air quality index, ozone, oxygen, solar energy, and wind energy. It's important to note that for day 15 and day 16, there are additional videos you can show the students to use as a small group instruction or to help them as they complete their independent work. Those videos include scaffolds for text-dependent questions, chunking the text, phonics work, as well as a variated exit slip. For Unit 4, Week 25, students are asked to write an essay answering this question: should your neighborhood or city use wind energy? Since the students have spent the whole week learning about air pollution and how we can use different energy sources such as wind energy and solar energy, you can take time to have them review what they know about wind energy by using a thought web, pictures, a chart, any graphic organizer they've previously used. You can do this in a whole group, they can do this in a small group, or independently and then share their work after. Students have to choose a side, should or should not, and they have to form a claim. Since their essay will be answering and supporting their claim, they have to have at least 1 to 3 reasons written on a graphic organizer that may help them to organize their writing. If you're thinking about transitioning, merging, and entering students, you may have them write 1 to 2 reasons and support those reasons with evidence from the text that they've read throughout the week. If you have expanding to commanding students, you can definitely gauge to see if they can push themselves to write at least 3 reasons with evidence on that graphic organizer. Students have previously read the text, so it may be useful to have them use the evidence that they've added to these graphic organizers to put into their writing organizer to match the reasons that they've already written down. Of course, the students can use this graphic organizer to write a final draft. These are the models that have been provided for you for students to see the advantages of using wind energy. If a student is choosing that they should have wind energy available in their neighborhood, they can use any of these reasons to put into their own organizer. This is something you can have students work on together in a group. But of course, we want to encourage the students to choose from these reasons into their own writing tasks rather than creating brand new reasons. Just as there are advantages to using wind energy, students can also look at these reasons that show the challenges of using wind energy and perhaps why wind energy should not be available in their neighborhood or the city. These questions have already been provided for you in the lesson slides where students can answer them before they begin writing. These questions may be helpful for you to have students discuss prior to planning their essay. You can have students in a small group where you give each of the small groups a question to discuss so that students can talk about their thinking before they begin planning their writing. Here are some possible strategies you can use while you are conducting your instruction. I talked a lot about collaborative work, so you can have a group of students do shared writing, which is where they work on the essay together. You can also do the think, pair, talk, write strategy, which is what I was referring to before with the guiding questions, which is where students can talk about their writing plans and then they can begin to draft. You may also consider peer revising and editing, which is when students can swap their work and use a checklist to give peer feedback for revisions. These revisions can include revising the claim, revising their reasons, or deducting or adding evidence that matches their reasons. You can also include a checklist that has transitional phrases for giving evidence, as well as introducing their claim that might be very helpful for the revising and editing process of the writing. For your entering and emerging students, you may consider providing an alternate task altogether. The students will still be providing a claim, reasons, and evidence, but they can do so using a slides presentation, creating a poster and collage, and then labeling these drawings with sentence starters, and/or they can create this poster and collage using the target language and recording themselves speaking using a Flipgrid video. This way, they're still completing the task where they have to take a stance on whether wind energy should or should not be in their neighborhood, but they can do so using the different modalities. Here's an example of a graphic organizer you can use that I provided for you. For students who will be writing on this organizer, you can break it up into separate pages so that students do not get overwhelmed. Students can work on a paragraph per session. And of course, if you're doing the shared writing, you can make this on one Google Doc or any kind of shareable document where students can collaboratively work on the same Google slide or Google Doc or Microsoft Doc at the same time. So it can be done asynchronously, but it can also be done in real time. Here are some sentence starters you may want to consider, such as when energy should or should not, while they're writing their introduction and claim. And here are their 3 reasons. Again, if you're thinking about your transitioning students, you may consider having them only write 2 reasons. We want to have quality work that we know the students can complete, and we want them to have realistic expectations rather than quantity. If the students are giving 2 great reasons that are found in the text that they have previously discussed, and they can find quality evidence that supports those reasons, that is more important than having 3 reasons where perhaps a 3rd reason is a bit of a stretch for them and they struggle with finding that evidence. We want them to have quality work where they're using the target language whether that's sentence starters such as these, the target vocabulary that they've been reading about. We want them to use that language. And again, you can go through this process for body paragraph 1 for reason 1, body paragraph 2, and that's also with reason 2, and the conclusion, which is similar to their introduction. Translation is a last resource we want to provide our ELLs. We want them to use the language structures that we are teaching them throughout the lesson so that they can acquire the new language. I hope that this was helpful as you are planning for your multilingual learners and your English language learners this week. I hope to see you in the next video.